Shalom, Shalum, and welcome. Welcome to Return to the Promised Land. My name is Symmanayah, and these are the words I am compelled to present. Shalom, my brothers and sisters, set apart Yashar'al. As I was completing the upload of a message number 3 of this series, or M3, regarding Return to the Promised Land, I encountered an experience with the Spirit of Yahusha. I believe he compelled me to warn the children of Yashar'al regarding the United States government shutdown. The Spirit of Yahusha brought to remembrance that it is estimated that over 800,000 people are furloughed and without their paychecks. He made me be mindful that individuals without paychecks have need of food, bills to pay, from mortgages, rent, for shelter, and other necessities. He made mention to me and made it known to me once again how man's desire to survive is centered around fresh water, food, shelter, a safe place for themselves, their families, their children, and loved ones. My brothers and sisters, I've mentioned this on more than one occasion, but I was pressed to present this again with some added information. I mentioned in another post how my low estimate of $1.5 billion are withheld from the economy as a result of withholding these individuals' paychecks. I also mentioned that this amount will send a ripple effect across the country and the world. I mentioned how it would specifically begin to affect some communities harder than others. The Spirit of Yahusha brought to mind when I was once younger, I witnessed a community that faced extreme hardship, and as a result, many government officials became corrupt. The protections and the expectations of civil rest that the community had regarding the municipality began to erode. Civil disarray, civil disorder began. There were many indictments and many convictions. Over time, people began to lose hope. Their perceptions of governing bodies began to erode, leading many to not even participate in the politics or electing leaders for their communities. I witnessed how the communities went down, and I began to witness other situations as I had at a time a position where I researched the dynamics of economic hardships in urban cores. My brothers and sisters, the condition that I just described was brought to my attention, brought to my remembrance, something that I witnessed firsthand and something that I had researched in years past. During these scenarios that actually happened, my brothers and sisters, I saw two things that occurred that was very prominent. Two things that occurred when desperate times had risen in this community that I was in, as well as other like communities and some even much larger. And those two things were the churches began to fill up. Organizations of faith began to enlarge as people became desperate. But also crime began to rise. Criminal activity enlarged. People started looking out for themselves, being selfish. And then the predators came in, taking advantage of those who were desperate. My brothers and sisters, I submit to you, during desperate times, people's integrity are compromised. Not everyone, but emotions and mental states are stretched to capacity. Remember, food, clothing, shelter are 3 of the most sought after things to have in order to survive naturally. And who knows the extent an individual will go to protect their family, to feed their children, to care for a loved one. When people face desperation, especially during extreme times, they will either draw closer to the Almighty Father or move into self-survival mode, which can sometimes cause them to be reckless and wicked. When extreme times come, people who do not have a spiritual belief will witness the temptation to compromise their integrity and make foolish mistakes. Some willingly, others recklessly. Like I said, I actually witnessed this, my brothers and sisters, on a local community level. I believe we're about to see it on a grand scale here in the United States and across the planet, in the industrialized world, so to speak. I witnessed churches grow, as I mentioned. I witnessed membership grow. I witnessed predators take advantage of the weak. I witnessed many hardships. I witnessed some communities that never bounced back from economic depression and hardship. Sure, they may have recovered a little bit, but it was never the same again. Hear these words, O Yashar'al. As civil unrest began to raise its head in such a large scale, as economic conditions began to become in dire straits, we will begin to hunger like never before to return to the promised land. We will hunger to be in a land where we can be among like-minded individuals under the protection and the guidance of the Almighty Father, with his power and might, with his chosen leadership, with his method of structure, where we will begin to have much shalom when we come together. We will hunger for that much more in the coming days. My brothers and sisters, I witnessed on a local community level, like I said, and I believe we will see something akin to that on a much wider scale in the coming of days. You see, my brothers and sisters, the protections we have regarding clean water, food processing, pharmaceuticals, along with so many other government regulated items, this includes our banking and financial institutions. They will begin to face enormous challenges. You see, when you withhold people's paychecks but force them to work, do you think that they would still work to their best capacity? Some, not all, will become very desperate. They will be more susceptible to bribes of the wicked to look over regulating food, USDA. That means we will see possibly more recalls of food, my brothers and sisters, as people will try to dump foods and chemicals and different things within our midst. They will bribe the guards or the guardian of the gates, so to speak. We will begin to realize how much protection we have had and will have by the hand and the power and might of the Almighty Father Yahuah. But we will also witness the fruit of one's wickedness and rebellion rise up. My brothers and sisters, please be advised. I am not saying this to scare you to fear what man can do. But it's important, if you want to know what must be done, what will be done, to remember what is written. In the scriptures, it is said, the fear of Yahuah is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise discipline and wisdom. My brothers and sisters, let us fear the Most High, for it is his hand of protection that will cover us during these trying times. But keep also in mind that it is stated that he reigns on the just and the unjust. There are some people who think by holding close to someone that is set apart. There are some entities that believe by holding close to camps or groups that are set apart, that the Most High's wrath and vengeance will not come upon them because they have some of his children there. Just like some people think that we can just go anywhere and live anywhere because we are pursuing set apartness. The days are coming, O Yashar'al, when we will recognize it is important to be where the Most High desires us to be. Look at the hurricanes and the tornadoes and the storms that come. Even though they may follow the path of the transatlantic slave trade as far as the hurricanes and hit some of the coastal lands in the United States where slavery and racism was most prevalent, today there are set apart children that are mixed, that's in the midst. But this will not stop the hand of the Almighty Father's vengeance and wrath. For we who are his children are not appointed to wrath. But we understand that if we are in that footprint, we would sleep. And when our eyes rise up, Judgment Day, we will forever be with the Almighty Father. We will forever be in the presence of our sovereign, commonly known as King Yahusha. Please be advised, my brothers and sisters. I'm not saying that everyone furloughed will become corrupted. However, I am undoubtedly warning that there will be a drop in the integrity of our protections of which we have never seen before, and we will never recover from such. Now, some people might say, oh, that's negative, and he's bringing bad news. Look around, O Yashar'al. Extreme humbling times are coming. Look around. Wickedness is growing rampant. It's going beyond Sodom and Gomorrah. For during such time as Sodom and Gomorrah, the numbers were not as large. For I state often, the population of this planet have never been over 7 billion. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, when specific certainties become in doubt and certain civil unrest erupt as it relates to our safety, as it relates to societal norms, we will truly begin to see, as unrest erupts, devastation follows. Imagine all or a portion of the protections that we have come to realize within our communities, within our nation, within our countries. Imagine them evaporating, worse than what they are now. It will result in negligence, wrongful death, more and widespread wrongful imprisonment. What do you think will happen? Do you think that we will continue to live where we live, the way we live, thinking that it will not affect us? Be advised, O Yashar'al, the time is now to identify set apart brothers and sisters. The time is now to draw closer to one another and begin to identify others who are pursuing the will of the Almighty Father. The time is now to make preparation, to gradually begin to move in a direction which you believe the Spirit of Yahusha is directing you, or otherwise face being caught in the congestion, in the mix, when chaos becomes so overwhelming that would be difficult to navigate in the congestion. Who among us have ever looked on the highways just during rush hour coming from work? Who among us have ever traveled from one location to the next over the roads and highways during heathen seasons, or what is known as holiday season, and seen the congestion? Now imagine if there is civil unrest. Imagine if chaos break out. Imagine if the infrastructures just start crumbling sequentially, rapidly. Do you think it would then be easy to get closer to other set apart ones? Identify now, O Yashar'al, the brothers and sisters who are insincere, who are being drawn to the Almighty Father, those who are being awakened. Identify, O Yashar'al. For we will continue to witness people waking up to the truth, seeking to determine the right moves for going forward in life. Our desire to be in a community with protections will increase. Our desire to be home to the promised land will become so intense that we will witness what it means to discern what must and will be done. And we will actually begin to make motion in the direction that is required by the Almighty Father. My brothers and sisters, pray. Pray and watch, for out of extreme desperation, we will witness our societies begin to crumble on a scale never imagined, a scale that would be much greater than the depression of the late 20s and 30s in the United States. If you doubt these words, research the natural cycles of many urban cores. Research how when they became economically depressed as a result of what's called urban sprawl, people moving out of the cities, or as a result of the Rust Belt crumbling, when the steel mills and the auto industries and the manufacturing left the country, witness how things changed. Witness how there was more corruption, or more clearly widespread corruption. I'm not saying that governments were saints back then, but I am saying that during hardship, during desperation, societies were degraded. Societies crumbled. Some cases, some were destroyed. Some cases, some are barely surviving. My brothers and sisters, this government shutdown will prove to be the seeds of wickedness. The integrity of our societies are about to face the most challenging moments in time. While the seeds of this shutdown will be a contributing factor to major economic tsunamis across the planet, climate change and global warming is real, and it's getting worse. The beats, the battle drums globally are echoing louder and louder from a political perspective and from a national perspective. As the truth regarding the children of Yahuah becomes clear, we are witnessing the lies that have been promoted for centuries being exposed, and a cry for history to be told correctly. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, I present these words to possibly ignite the need to draw close or closer to the Almighty Father Yahuah, the need to draw closer to one another. The times are now to come away from compromising fellowships. The time is now to come away from compromising camps, groups, to be about the Father's business. If there is disagreement, and we cannot be as iron sharpen iron, let us split from one another and pursue earnestly what the Most High has to say. We may come back. We may find reproof and correction and be restored in fellowship. Or we may find out that the person we came away from really never desired to pursue what was right in the first place. And we may discover those of like mind and spirit, those walking in obedience to the Spirit of Yahuah. The time is now, my brothers and sisters, to come away from the vanity, the luxuries, the conveniences that do not have anything to do with us growing closer together and set apartness. The time is now to come away from those who are just entertaining. This is not a game. It is not funny. My spirit stirs when individuals laugh. There's nothing funny about what is happening, my brothers and sisters. I cannot stress enough how soon chaos will break out. And we will see many people fighting to navigate through the congestion as they try to find a safe place to live. Many will seek to migrate to a location where they believe life would be better. This includes Yashar'al, seeking to return to the promised land. My brothers and sisters, let us make decisions now. Let us begin movement now while we can. Let us begin to make plans to move as soon as we can. Let us begin to communicate. Let us begin to identify the pathways we must take in order to fulfill what we are called to do. Yashar'al, the seeds of extreme humbling times are planted. They cannot be retrieved. There will be other types of seeds of extreme humbling times that will pop up as well. Destruction comes. Many deaths will follow. It will be wise to embrace the warnings from the Spirit of Yahusha, our teacher, and seek to discern what must and will come to be. We are about to witness extraordinary times, my brothers and sisters. Let us be mindful of our children and the seniors. Let us be mindful of those who are handicapped. Let us be mindful of those who depend on us for a degree of protection and direction from a natural perspective. Rise up, O Yashar'al. If you are hearing these words, they reach you for a reason. If these words are stirring your spirit, they're stirring your spirit for a reason. The Spirit of Yahuah, sent in Yahusha's name, calls out to teach us, to guide us, to direct us, and to comfort us. And comfort will come in understanding that the plan of the Most High must, and it will, and it is unfolding. Be encouraged, my brothers and sisters. Be encouraged, for our redemption draws near. It is nearer than most can imagine. There will be movement. There will be times to adapt and to adjust. The formation of an awakening nation set apart by the almighty power of the Father of life, Yahuah. In Yahusha's name, we will witness his power and might move before his children. Across the land, we will witness being gathered together. And soon and very soon, my brothers and sisters, it will become clear, crystal clear. The world will witness the fulfillment of what has been promised. My brothers and sisters, I pray daily for set apart Yashar'al. I pray that we recognize the importance of discerning his presence, his living presence right now and going forward. Let us, yes, be mindful of our history. Let us be aware of the things and where we've come from. But let us also be reminded of now, the living instructions. Let us be mindful of the living word, scriptures being made alive to be applied to our lives today, now and going forward. Remember, my brothers and sisters, even if we do not pay attention to what's unfolding, even if we do not pay attention to the details, this will not erase the realities of what's really happening. And soon and very soon, it will become crystal clear to those who are chosen, to those who are drawn, to those who must respond to fulfill what is written regarding the final exodus before the physical return of Yahusha Mashiach. I'm compelled to believe our redemption draws near, and it is sooner than we think. Until next time, my brothers and sisters, until next time, my name is Symmanayah. I bid you Shalum.